Welcome back to The Explainer, Focused Learners. I am so incredibly excited about today's topic because we're skipping past all the usual self-help fluff and getting straight into the heart, undeniable data behind positive thinking. You know, we've all heard that old adage, right? Positive thoughts lead to positive results. But today, we're going to look at the actual science behind that claim. We're going to break down some truly fascinating research, and by the time we wrap up, unlock a surprisingly simple daily cognitive habit that completely separates the absolute highest achievers from everybody else. Okay, let's dive right into this. Section 1, the massive success study. To really understand the mechanical gears of success, researchers at the University of Pennsylvania conducted a truly monumental study. They tracked participants for 22 years. I mean, they didn't just hand out a survey for a few weeks. This is longitudinal data spanning entire careers, economic booms, recessions, the whole shebang. That gives it immense scientific weight. It was actually even funded by some of the biggest corporate powerhouses in America who desperately wanted to know exactly what mental habits were driving their absolute top performers. And the sample size? Try 350,000 people. Seriously, let that sink in for a second. That's 1/3 of a million people, which is roughly the entire population of Iceland, participating in this study over 2 full decades. So, what exactly were the researchers trying to extract from the minds of all these individuals? Well, it all boiled down to this one incredibly direct question: what do you think about most of the time? And the methodology here was just brilliant. They didn't just send out a questionnaire asking people to try and remember what they thought about yesterday. No, they had graduate students randomly call the participants during the week. The people knew a call was coming at some point, but they had absolutely no idea when. The phone would ring, they'd answer, and the grad student would simply ask, "What are you thinking about right now?" They logged these real-time, completely unfiltered thoughts week after week, year after year. Which brings us to Section 2. What top performers think. Now, what's really interesting here is what happened after researchers sorted through this absolute mountain of data. They organized the 350,000 people into deciles, groups of 10%, ranking them by their overall level of success and performance. And they found a stark, undeniable contrast between the top 10% and the bottom 80%. The highest achievers were literally operating on a totally different mental framework. Their thoughts almost universally fit into this one simple category. They think about what they want and how to get it. That's it. That is the secret engine. It's amazingly simple, but the data showed it reliably brings them genuine happiness and a really deep feeling of control over their lives. Let's look at some specific real-world examples straight from the study's logs. Because when top performers think about what they want, they aren't just sitting around daydreaming about winning the lottery. It translates to highly practical, forward-looking daily tasks. They're constantly thinking about their immediate goals and priorities. They are mapping out their specific actions and activities for the day. They're actively calculating the number of people they need to call, the proposals they need to put together, and the exact materials they need to read and study to gain an edge. It is completely 100% focused on forward momentum. Moving right along to Section 3, the power of how. So the crucial point is that simply wanting things isn't enough on its own, right? I mean, we all want things. If you just sit around thinking about what you want without the second half of that equation, you're just going to end up frustrated. The true magic lies in the bridge between wanting and getting, and it all comes down to this one crucial word: how. If there is a secret weapon in the business world, folks, this is it. It is the absolute most important word for leadership, problem solving, and achieving massive success. Top performers have developed what we can call the how reflex. It instantly frames every single challenge they face. When they have a goal, the immediate thought is, how can I achieve this? When a problem arises out of nowhere, the brain immediately asks, how can I solve this? When an obstacle blocks their path, the question is, how can I overcome this? This specific word forces your brain to constantly focus on actionable steps. It forces you to look at what you can do right now, every single minute, to move faster toward the target. To really anchor this conceptually, let's look at this amazing quote from Earl Nightingale. He said, "Happiness is the progressive, step-by-step realization of a worthy ideal or goal." And that just beautifully summarizes what those University of Pennsylvania researchers found in the data. Moving step by step toward an important goal isn't just about getting work done. It's the actual mechanical source of feeling positive most of the time. Action creates optimism. Now, let's flip the coin for Section 4. The unsuccessful mindset. And this brilliantly illustrates the divide. To fully understand the power of that top 10%, we really have to look at the bottom 80% as a sort of cautionary mirror. When those grad students called the unsuccessful people, what was occupying their mental real estate? The successful mindset, as we saw, is constantly looking forward at what they want. The unsuccessful mindset, however, is entirely consumed by what they do not want and by past events. It is the stark difference between a forward-looking, proactive brain and a backward-looking, reactive brain. Let's detail these negative habits for a second, because they are incredibly insidious. The data showed that the bottom 80% spent most of their time thinking about things they actively disliked. They dwelled on things that made them angry or sad. They obsessively replayed past events that they had absolutely no power to change anymore. And perhaps worst of all, they spent massive amounts of energy thinking about who was to blame for their problems. Complaining about unchangeable things and constantly shifting responsibility away from yourself guarantees an unhappy present in a highly limited future. It literally traps you. Finally, let's move to Section 5, taking the steering wheel. Listen, if you take anything away from this explainer today, it's that you are not just a passenger in your own mind. You have the absolute ability to intentionally override those negative default habits. Step 1, grab the wheel of your mind and take conscious control. Step 2, intentionally think about what you want and focus on the target. Step 3, engage that how reflex to generate action all day long. And step 4, as you do this, you will naturally begin to feel in complete and total control of your life. It's entirely in your hands. So, I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought to consider as you go about the rest of your day. Take a hard look at your own mental habits. Are you actively steering your thoughts toward what you want and how to get it? Or are past events and things you can't control driving you? Go out there and grab the wheel. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and as always, keep learning.